Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week at Everything You Need to Know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock. With news, markets are waiting for details of the US federal budget plans. But first, American economic growth slowed in the fourth quarter of 2016 to 1.9%, with strong consumer spending offset by downward revisions to business and government investment. Personal consumption expenditure, the US Fed's preferred measure of inflation, rose to 1.6% for the same period, and that was the highest rate since the third quarter of 2014. That improved consumer confidence is supported today by the Conference Board's Consumer Sentiment Survey, which rose to a 15-year high, and the Case-Shiller Home Price Index, which reported its fastest full-year growth since 2013. But the gloss may come off this optimism as we're about to get data on US car sales, which are expected to be flat despite recent heavy discounting. Unrealistic growth assumptions by the new American administration may get markets backpedaling too. There are also growth figures out overnight for India, which were a bit of a surprise. Growth there slowed in the December quarter, but the pace of expansion still beat expectations. The 7% rate was slower than the previous quarter's 7.4%, but analysts' expectations were for just 6.4% because of the turmoil involved in their government's decision to withdraw high-denomination banknotes as part of its anti-corruption drive. In China, they're getting practical about encouraging families to have more children. In 2016, an additional 1.3 million more babies were born in the country than in 2015. But for their sustainable demography, that was not enough. Affordability has been identified as a key constraint, so subsidies and transfer payments are on the table. One thing for certain, though, is that infant formula and dairy products will be in increasing demand. In Australia, RJ Hooker, one of their real estate heavyweights, is launching a discount brand, Settle. It is a move that will no doubt unsettle its vast ranks of commissioned agents. Low-cost agency disruptors are starting to gain traction across the ditch, and it's just a matter of time before that happens here. In New York, the US Treasury 10-year yield is basically unchanged at 2.35% ahead of the 2017-18 budget launch. Oil prices are down today and are just over $53 for the US benchmark, while the Brent benchmark is just over $55 a barrel. Interestingly, the US is now exporting 1.2 million barrels a day, and that's not something that OPEC was counting on. The gold price is also a little lower at $1,256 an ounce, and the New Zealand dollar will start today slightly up at 72.3 US cents. On the cross rates, we're now at 94.1 Aussie cents, and against the euro, 68.1 euro cents. The TWI is still in its 3-week tight range at 77.6. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.